Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
Welcome to Counselor Accents. Oh, that's not what we usually say.
Then let's start.
Okay, welcome to our podcast. I am Kim Crumbly.
And I'm Laura Rankhorn.
And together we are Counselor Accents.
And today we are going to be talking about a topic that seems to be across the board an issue, and that is
Attendance.
Yep. So many people have asked, what do we do to help with our school's attendance? And today we're going to talk about that.
And who better than Miss Laura Rankhorn,
Oh, stop.
who
Stop, I mean, go
I
on.
know exactly what you mean. Who in our county had our goal last year, when we back it up, was to all raise our attendance by 1%, which was a daunting task.
Mhm.
So I met my goal, but Laura raised her attendance higher than anybody in the county, and I think it ended up being at 97%.
Almost 97%. And folks, you just can't get that much higher.
You just aren't gonna, but you're so humble.
I know.
You're
And
so
if you
humble.
have higher attendance than 97%,
Please,
hats off to you.
Let us
Congratulations.
know so I can shut her down. Shut her down. But for a public school system where you're dealing with elementary students who are at the mercy of their parents, that is a accomplishment. So I was excited that I met my goal, but we're competitive, so she beat me.
So
with
I
that.
won.
I won.
So today we're going to talk about that and just kind of go through some of the steps. But first, we're going to start with, why is that our job?
Why is that our job, Laura? Why is that the school counselor's job?
Well, I would answer that question by saying it's not our job, but it is part of what we do. Does that make
Very
sense?
good. It does.
Okay. I am not the truancy officer,
You're not the truancy officer.
but
You got a taser?
I wish.
No.
But
Yeah.
attendance does contribute to so many other things. When we are checking attendance and checking on our students, sometimes it gives us a bigger piece of the puzzle as to what's going on in our students' lives.
Absolutely. And we're
So-
going to unwrap that in this podcast.
So tell me why you think it's part of our job, Kim.
Well, I'm going to delve a little bit more into this later. But just one aspect of it is you think about the college and career part of our job. Just one aspect of this and how those attendance habits carry over into a lifetime of habit. So if we can teach and train and talk to the community and students about the importance of attendance, because I feel like sometimes we just want this to happen. A school will but the kids really don't have buy-in. They really
Right.
don't understand.
It's just an arbitrary
Absolutely.
goal that your principal throws out.
Exactly. And when we start to even talk with parents, sometimes we realize that they really don't have a clear understanding of the importance of attendance.
And I'm just going to say this here at the first of the podcast, and then we'll get this out of the way.
Okay.
I think that a lot of times school systems send mixed messages
Talk to me about that.
because we say attendance is important, be here, be here, be here, but then we also say your kid has a fever, keep them home. And so
Exactly.
that's really,
But that is what I love, and we may unpack this in a little bit, about our lessons.
yeah.
And that was very clear to me last year when we actually, what we decided to do was we went into, am I going early into this? We went into the classroom and did a lesson. And then we did small group lessons. So we did a lot of training on this early in the year. And part of that training was the scenarios. And I loved that part of what we did last year. We're going to do it again this year. So when you give students scenarios, like one of them was, I think, you wake up, you just feel blah and tired. Do you come to school?
Right.
So it gives them discussion on when is appropriate to come to school and when it's not appropriate to come to school.
Yep.
So for students even to understand that a fever is different than I just don't feel good, because I'm working with this pinched nerve.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all I've heard about.
This is why I am turning like I'm a robot woman. Pinched nerve. Am I here?
How do you spell pinched? Because it sounds like double E.
It is.
The rest of us say pinched.
You do not. I see what you're doing. You get behind this microphone and all of a sudden you lose all of your colloquialisms.
Okay, moving on. All right, so we talked about why this is our job. Also, we have goals that we have to meet. Like we have our ASCA goal that we are supposed to set for the year. You mentioned that earlier. Our school system has said, hey, we want attendance to be our goal. So that's why it's part of our job. Also, our state report card in Alabama focuses a big portion of it on attendance. And they don't look at
why
excused or unexcused.
No.
They just look at one big number.
And that magic number is
15. Yeah.
So
if a child has more than 15 absences, then
we are
flagged. Yeah. And a lot of times these little ones get to school, kindergarten students get to school, new germs. And
absolutely.
Then they have to get their tonsils out, and just before you
Flu.
know it, you miss 15 days. So
absolutely.
Let's move on. When we decide that attendance is going to be something that we focus on for the year, where do we start? Where do we start?
Are you asking?
It's a
rhetorical. Are you asking me?
Question.
Are you asking me? No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rhetorical.
Well, or
where do I start? This is where I start.
Okay.
We have a program that I can go in and look back over the years. So with that program, I can look at, and have done that already with my principal, those students who for the last 2 or 3 years have missed repeatedly, especially looking at last year, because people can change.
Yeah.
But what we have found is it is year after year after year.
Yeah.
So where I start is I monitor those students who I already know have been a problem in the past.
Okay.
Now, last year, before school started, it was open house, and I asked to meet every student parent who had missed over 15 days.
Okay. So you start with data.
Conversation. That's exactly right.
Okay.
That fly.
I know.
I think I missed the microphone. I don't know.
Well. Yeah, so we both start with data. I look at, like she said, I'm going to pull from the student database. I'm going to look at the average daily attendance and see what's our overall attendance rate. And if it is 80%, then there's some room for improvement. But if you are, can I say it again?
Oh,
if
geez.
you're as high as about 97%, there's not much room for improvement. And you need to look at other ways that you can focus on attendance.
Break it down. Break it down your data.
Yep, break down the data. And
I'm not going to break down. I'm
okay.
just saying break down
I
your
thought
data.
it was your pinched
Oh.
nerve.
Break it down. I am. Okay. Talk to me about
Okay. I'm going to look
how you're going to break that down.
I'm going to look at students that I pulled this year, I looked at students with more than 12 absences. And since our state looks at absences as a whole, I pulled excused, unexcused. I lumped them all in together.
Okay.
So every student with 12 or more absences. Because my goal this year is to get that number down.
Yeah.
And when in doing that, you will affect your overall attendance.
And that's our goal. My goal, it was my goal set with my principal at the end of the year to not necessarily bring it up a point, because we were at 96 something.
Oh,
but not as good, not as high as you.
So good.
But it is the same students who are
Right.
killing us with our report card every year.
Right.
But, and I can't wait to get into some of the things that I uncovered
know.
last year.
And so let's go into that. So once we get that data and we kind of know which direction we want to go, whether we want to look at overall attendance or whether we want to disaggregate it and look at specifics, that's when we form our plan and figure out where we want to go next. So I'm doing just absences, like I said, as a whole. I'm focusing on students with more than 12. And then you start communicating the plan, and that's a fun thing to do. So with us, we both last year started with our whole group lesson. So we took kids kindergarten through 5th at our school. Well, you went kindergarten through
I did 8th. Same thing.
And last year it was slime.
And
we've had a slime leakage on your table. I'm so sorry.
I am not getting past that. It's a good thing it's the same color as my table.
Sorry.
You'll do anything to disrupt my...
I'm so jealous of your room.
I know.
Being so cute. So anyway, last year we did a lesson with slime. And this is exactly what the students did when we gave it to them. They were just like,
yes, they loved it.
Yeah. But we did our lesson on slime, and we used slime as an acronym. And every letter stood for something else. And do you know what? The kids, when they see me in the hallway, still, can we come to your room and play with slime? And I'm like, guys, that was a year ago.
Yes, we have
done
else.
other things.
We got something else
then.
this year.
But,
yeah, they loved the slime.
Yeah.
And you may ask, where did you get the slime? For me, I actually had 2 students who went to Dallas to a conference, a slime
that tells
conference.
you how big slime is.
So I did not know that. That's why we decided to do slime. Once we found out that was such a big deal. I mean, I knew it was a big deal, but to drive to Dallas from Alabama,
Yeah.
okay. So
12 hours.
yes. So those girls came back and with their friends, and these were middle schoolers.
Yeah.
They made slime until it was coming out of my ears. I mean, they kept coming every day. Here's more slime. Here's more slime. And I had rules. You know, it had to be the kind that not like
Not
this.
like that.
This is, well, but it's still fun. I mean, I can't stop. So go ahead with your acronyms.
Well, every letter just stood for something else, or stood for something that had to do with attendance. Like S was set your attendance goals. And I don't know about you, but I have found that when you empower students to be a part of their own goal making,
Absolutely.
they want to achieve it.
Absolutely.
L was
layout. It was layout everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we really broke it down to how can these kids, and some, you know, elementary, you think, well, it's the parents, but to get them on board to
Right.
help their parents and to make that important to the parents. But that was fun. All of those
fun.
letters stood for something, and the kids had a really good time with that. And it was a lot. That's where we used the scenarios to really train the students on what was acceptable
Right.
absences and really what wasn't. You know, except for I do think that one of the things that we probably went with would be, okay, if you stay up all night to watch the national championship, because I don't know,
yeah.
Alabama generally in a national championship. We stay up and watch that thing, and then
You just infuriated like 3/4 of our
cannot
listeners,
help it.
probably,
National championship. I'm sorry,
including myself,
I'm
because I'm
sorry.
not.
She's from Tennessee.
I know.
I wasn't gonna tell it, but it's true.
Another thing that we did right along with the whole group lesson was, and this came from our data, we did a small group with our repeat offenders.
We did.
Kim talked about pulling those students that over several years were chronic absenteers. And so when we looked at that list, that gave us some candidates for our small group. And here's the thing. It was a slime small group, again, with the slime. And it was a little bit different from our whole group lesson. But the kids didn't even know that they were on our hit list because slime is so much fun.
And so you may be thinking, why are you rewarding the
Oh,
kids
good
by pulling those? But really, again, so much of if it's been year after year after year, what we've been doing is not working. So
Right.
this was something that we wanted to try, and we both met our goal with attendance. So it was working. We got them on board with why it's important to attend.
Yeah.
Training and communication with the parents. We're going to talk about that.
Show them
And
what
just a
we're
little
doing
bit.
this year.
I just happen to have it here with me. We are doing a sushi attendance lesson. So kids love sushi, right?
Yes, it astounds me because I probably didn't even know what a
So,
sushi was. till
they're
I was
going to
25.
start out with the little, getting to know it activities, and it's nothing about attendance at first,
Right.
So they're going to start off with
That's so cute.
so stinking cute. So they start off with that, and included, we're going to talk about attendance facts, about what this does in their future, and helps them kind of understand how this is affecting their grades. It's not that you're just out, but all of the things because of that. And we go into definitions. I have definition cards of punctuality and tardy, and what attendance is, and all those kinds of things. So this is, you have a dentist appointment to get your teeth cleaned. Should you come to school after or before the appointment? And that leads to discussion.
Right.
Because
So many students will just take the
take
rest
the
of
whole
day.
day off, and they're seeing the dentist, with braces every month.
Right.
And so that's a lot of days. You did not complete your homework last night. Should you come to school? Those kinds of things. We go into things that, and these are a lot of you learn a lot of discussion things we go into. You're being bullied on the bus.
Mhm.
Bullying is a huge, across the
That's so
nation,
true.
reason that students are absent. So
Very good.
we're talking about what can we do if we're being bullied. If it's the teacher that
Yeah.
we don't like, if it's the substitute teacher we don't like, what can we do and help them problem solve, because they have got to be in school. And of course, you take your little chopstick here, and you got all your little fishies here, and you
So
make your little
cute.
sushi. So we'll do a whole group.
I can't wait.
I
to
can't
do that.
either. And then we'll
Kind of makes me wish that more kids were absent.
I don't know how your attendance went up. I do not know. I cannot stop. You'll have to take it away
Okay.
from me. Her slime is so bad you have to leave it in the bag.
Well, it's
old.
old.
Okay, it's
The
old. I'm
funny
gonna
thing
give you that.
is, she told me, she said, this slime is leaking. And I was like, no, it's not.
And now
I'm
it's
looking
all
at a puddle
over,
on her.
and that will be cleaned
Yeah.
by you,
Okay.
or this will be repainted.
And it's moving. It's migrating.
Okay.
Okay, back to attendance though. One thing that Kim did last year that really inspired me, because you did such a good job with
I
it.
need you to wipe the tear.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had parent conferences. She talked about how she pulled those students with chronic absenteeism, and she met with those parents. And so, talk about that for a minute.
Well, I created my little Closing the Gap notebook, which is right over there. I will not run get it, but I did because I wanted to. What can I do to close that gap for those students who are knocking on 15? I mean,
Right.
and that can get way on up there into the 30s for some students.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I ask that, to begin with, that the parents come by and see me. They really don't know why they're coming to see me. So they walk in, and I'm not aggressive, with this. I just start off by, letting them know I'm here to help them, and that I see that there's been an issue with absenteeism in the past. And when I start the questioning, I will have my dad in front of me, and the first question is, do you know how many days your child was out? And that was a big eye opener, because they would not know. I mean, it just kind of
A day here and a
day
day
there, and they didn't know that their child, was out 14 days.
Right.
They didn't know that. And so then, gently, if you will, the policy. If you don't know your school or your district's policy, you need to know that policy. So that's something that I would share. This is the policy. I want you to stay out of trouble. So I want to help you. I want them to know that,
Right.
that I'm here to help you. But then I am writing the whole time they're talking to me on my form, so that they know I'm going to keep up with this.
Yeah.
And what are the reasons. And through that process, we found out a lot of information, like there might have been a sickness in the family
Right.
that we didn't know about, or there was a busing issue that we just talked about that we might could help. So a school that has a higher rate of poverty, and a lot of states and a lot of school systems do. We have a lot of poverty in our county. That increases the risk for more absenteeism. So, what are the things that we as school counselors can do to help? And so that was that door that I went through with those parents, is let me look at this as how I can help you. So,
and I call it, when she told me this, I called it disarm and engage, because I feel like that's exactly what you did. Because when parents come in, sometimes they're automatically just thinking they're in trouble, they're on the defensive, and they're ready for a fight. And so I've been doing the conference, I've been having conferences this week with parents too, based on her example. And I've just been amazed at how when you talk to them at first, they are just ready for an argument, ready to fight. But then when I hit them with that, I really just wanted to know, what can we do? What can we do to help you?
Yeah.
And sometimes I say school counselors have resources that some people don't even think about. And so if something's going on,
Absolutely.
I may be able to come up with a plan to help you.
Yeah.
And
I will say that I have them sign that. I have them sign that form, because we've had this discussion. We've both agreed that we'll do our part to help. And so we did. In fact, my administrator said he felt like the greatest thing that we did as far as making a difference. And once I start seeing those numbers rise, then I would start making those calls again. And then there is a time where you do bring in the tough cop. That's not me.
Right.
So that's, the principal or truancy or whatever. So I'm trying to do everything I can to keep them from getting it. And
Right.
let's be honest, this is a big problem that even, truancy can't keep up with.
Right.
So we, anything we can do to keep those kids here.
And just like I said earlier, once kids know a goal, or once they're empowered to set a goal, they want to help. I think the same is true with parents. Once you bring them in and help them become part of the, she's complaining about her pinched nerve again.
Not coming back this week.
Oh my goodness. But once parents know the goal, then they want to help too. And so,
talk about what you did.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's what you want me to say.
Thank you. Last year, I did weekly videos, or every other week sometimes during those busy months. But I did videos and put them out on Facebook and sent them out to the classes, where I talked about which class had the highest attendance for the week. And it was always fun, because I would, through talking with students, like I found one girl who was a ventriloquist in 4th grade.
Okay.
And it was so much fun, because
cute.
she had her little puppet to tell which class had the highest attendance. And so I just try to get different students every week to be in the videos with me. And parents would be asking, hey, when's the video coming out? Who's got the highest attendance? So I just felt like they bought in, and they would be sharing it.
They
all
were
over
part
social
of this
media.
journey.
Basically, I went viral.
Okay, 10 hits.
10 shares, guys. I had 10 shares. Actually, that would be a dream come true. It's more like No,
that community spirit was in play, and they wanted to.
And it was fun. And I wasn't saying, make sure you get your kids here. It was more very like positive peer pressure.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. it.
So I plan on doing that again this year. I've already got the board ready. Oh, and the board I did last year, we did superheroes. And so every teacher was a superhero on the bulletin board, and they would fly across.
You could add a link to show that
we'll
bulletin
put it in
board.
show notes.
And my bulletin board was a slime bulletin board, and it was just really cute. And each teacher had their place on the board, and we would do surprise checkups, so that every, at least once a week, we were doing, and it could be like the highest attendance for that classroom, or a grade, or we just kind of mixed it up so the kids were kind of excited about, and we would do, doable rewards. I had bought slime stickers, tattoos that are cheap, and then we use the slushies and things that we had at school as rewards. The kids loved it. But what we called it is you've been slimed.
Oh, fun.
So if they came out of their classroom door and they had the slime, big slime sticker on the door, they had been slimed and they knew that.
Oh, I bet they loved that.
Yep, that was fun. So that was kind of one way that we rewarded.
Very good.
So
and going into that, one thing we did, if we're not competing, okay,
I
we're
feel
sharing,
like when you get
we're
through
just
telling,
sharing our
okay.
guests. We did attendance punch cards, and this is just what we did last year. So, and we didn't punch them because it's a low budget operation.
Oh,
we
okay.
used a dry erase marker, okay? But there were 10 spots, and every time that teacher had a class with 100% attendance, she would mark off one of the circles. So once they got 10, and it did not have to be consecutive days with 100% attendance, she would turn this in, and we would take some kind of reward to the students. And
that's really a great way to keep up with that.
And the kids were excited. And I mentioned positive peer pressure a minute ago. And so kids were doing that. They were saying, hey, make sure you're here. We have 8 days. Make sure you're here because we've got 2 more days.
That is the positive peer pressure because they wanted, I love that. I love that.
We're doing it again this year. I just
with
laminated.
The superhero
Not
cards.
the superhero. It's a hot air balloon this year. But funny story, when I laminated them, I broke the laminator. So it's been kind of on pause. The whole production has been on pause because I really did a number on it. And now I'm no longer allowed to use the laminator. So
they've locked that up for you.
As they should have.
As they should have a long time ago, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and we were asked, I don't know where we were, but we were speaking about attendance and we were asked what kind of rewards, because most schools don't have a lot of money for rewards, but students who had perfect attendance for the time period that we, it was usually 9 weeks. We did things that were affordable, like movies. We had an ice cream party. We had a park, like ice cream in the park. We had pizza party. So things that were, and you may have people, I think we had some sponsors in the community that I called and they took care of that. Yeah. So it was just, and it was a bigger deal than I thought. I had parents calling like, whatever's going on, they just don't want to miss because they're afraid they'll miss the reward.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
Yeah.
And these are 2 of my ideas that I have on my list this year to do with the students, and they're relatively low cost. But I'm going to bring a PTO parent in on the first 9 weeks to do an art project with the kids because our kids love art, but they don't get to do art.
Right.
We don't have an art
program
in our school. And you might, so this might not be an incentive for you. But anyway, I'm going to bring a parent in to do just a fun little art project with the kids, painting or something like that. And then also, this was something I discovered through talking to some of our kids. And I think if you've ever heard us speak before, you know that this is one of our hot buttons. But all these kids want to be YouTube sensations. So for the second 9 weeks, the students with perfect attendance are going to be able to make their own video. Now, I'm not saying we're putting it on YouTube because that might scare the parents, but they're going to make their own video about why attendance is important.
That's cool.
They are pumped up, fired up.
Oh, that's great.
About making their
this
own
is the first time I'm hearing
video.
your ideas. So
yeah, we should share
I will
these.
one-up you with your ideas.
Please
I
do.
just needed to hear yours.
And now you'll do it better.
So that I can bring Jude Law back to my school because he came to my school.
I did want
True story.
It's true. I did want to tell you something else that we did besides the punch cards. We did something, just a surprise check-in. So the principal or I would go to a classroom and just pop our head in the morning and say, hey, we're just checking. Does everybody have 100% attendance? And we might have some sort of treat in our hand. It may or may not have been donuts. Don't tell the state of Alabama that we were giving out donuts. Okay. I don't know if we can. But it might have been some sort of treat like that.
Right.
and
Donut-esque.
yes, a donut-esque treat. But if they had 100% attendance, no tardies, then they got that treat.
Yes.
But if not, then we would say, okay, well, we had a treat for you. We're going to go on to the
We're
next one.
sorry. A lot of crying
Lot
and
of crying,
wailing
yes.
and gnashing of teeth.
Right. But again, the positive peer pressure was there. Don't miss. They might do a surprise check-in. So,
Those are great ideas.
yeah. Another idea that's low budget. We have classrooms that are conducive to students coming in and playing games. We have lots of games, but I thought maybe game time with the counselor
That would be really good.
would be easy to do
Yeah,
by grade or
it would have to be because that would be, it might be
because our
overwhelming.
attendance is so high.
Yours is, my goodness. I hear you.
Yep. So I think that about covers it on attendance. We would love to hear your ideas.
Absolutely.
So what's it called? Ring our bell and tell us some
Ring
attendance.
my bell.
Okay. Really? And tell
Shoulder.
us your.
A lot of pain. I'd sing the whole
attendance.
song if it wasn't for my
We'll
pain.
be out tomorrow.
I'm out.
Tell us your attendance ideas because we would love to learn from you. And we would like to invite you personally to join our Counselor Accents Facebook